Thanks for the introduction. So from a small company to an even smaller company, because Swift is only actually less than 2,000 people. And I don't know how familiar are you with Swift does. Maybe I can do the 1-minute pitch. Swift is transporting daily several $1 trillion value in financial messaging. So, talk to us about, failure is not an option and we are not allowed to fail in what we do, okay? It's not exactly as bringing down a plane, but it's like, screwing with the financial services is not exactly something that we can allow to do. So my presentation today is also a first time. So, if you get bored, just say it and I will just drop it from my next speeches. It is actually fitting totally I believe, the theme of this conference, because it is actually not talking about internal collaboration and internal enterprise 2.0, but it's about creating an ecosystem with your company, your customers, your consultants, and your vendors in a 2.0 environment. So now, a little bit of history. So I talked about Swift. Swift is a 35-year-old company with, 2,000 people, 1,800 dinosaurs. The average age is pretty high. I actually believe that 2 years ago I started my presentation saying, this is about dinosaurs dancing, okay? Because it was exactly as I presented at that time at the born of InnoTribe and SwiftCommunity.net. So InnoTribe is actually the brand under which all innovation at Swift is happening, and it started 3 years ago, from scratch. From a napkin, if you want to, in a restaurant, literally, say, guys, if we don't innovate, we will die. Simply because the core business of Swift is financial messaging, prices has been declined, and messaging is becoming a commodity now. So Swift, our cooperative, need to find other source of businesses to survive. And the only way to do it is through innovation. So how to innovate in the failure is not an option culture? This is probably the only slide that you will see with actual content. The rest are pictures, so just focus on that one, and then it will be easier afterwards. So all the red words that you see there are things that we built up in the past 3 years that are all about collaboration, that are using actually 2.0 tools. So the innovation challenge, that's very classical, leveraging the collective intelligence of your all employees to actually come up with ideas, rank them, put them in front of the executives, give them some money, and the best one get it implemented in the company. InnoTribe.com, which it has been mentioned already, it is nothing else than an idea management marketplace where everybody in the financial services ecosystem can come, post an idea, and that idea has a process by which, if it is relevant and if it has a take-up from the community, it will get financed by InnoTribe itself. And then last year, we launched what we call the InnoTribe Incubator, which is basically Swift money that is co-steered between Swift and the community. In other words, talking about collaboration, we asked our own community to help us spending our money into the innovation. So we actually created a network of bankers as well as venture capitalists, financial experts, vendors, consultants, and we created what we call the InnoTribe gang. These guys are helping us every day in finding the new ideas in the financial services community. And and we are very proud because our CEO, and actually one of the questions I wanted to ask to the previous gentleman is that his CEO is blogging. I'm trying to convince my CEO to blog since 5 years, and I couldn't succeed. So I am really impressed. Congratulations. So what I want to tell you is a story. Okay, this is the before last presentation. Okay, so I will not bother you with the very kind of teaching or whatever, showing specific content. I just want to tell you a story. This is our recipe to create a collaborative environment. Okay? And this is a collaborative environment about innovation. And how did we start? We create a space. If you ever have been or will in the future participate to an InnoTribe conference, you will see that space feels different. And it's not about the physical space, it's that to make your employees or your ecosystem collaborate, you need to create a place, a physical place to actually do it. This is an example of our conference, but what we did is that we took a kind of refurbished loft in our spaces in Brussels, and we put them, developers coming from outside, working with our own developers, okay, to actually create new projects. And the way we finance these projects is actually totally outside of our IT system. It is simply give money to smart people to actually come up quickly in 6 to 8 weeks with a prototype space. And then, of course, we need people. So we have been hearing a lot about tools, different type of engagement, but truth is, like the early adopters the gentleman mentioned before, you need rebels to actually collaboration effectively work. So this is the InnoTribe team during our last conference in Toronto after 6 days and nights, working with close to 2,500 people who showed up at our conference. Message here is, if you really want your company to actually become effectively a 2.0 company, you have to dare to hire different people. You cannot pretend to actually make today's technology and way of thinking work with the same kind of people that your company used to be. That was the case for us. And of course, you need to break the rules. This is not any pictures that I downloaded from the internet. This is actually the way we opened our own conference in the middle of 10,000 bankers in Toronto last September. Okay? So we hired this very good-looking guy, and all the ladies were kind of excited because he was kind of half naked, and he brought what I mean of this? He brought a drum, sorry, of course. He brought a drum with him. And we actually started by him jamming alone and us, basically, kind of repeating the mantra of the session. And you know how it ended? Is that at the closing of that very same conference, we actually brought 150 drums. And imagine a room like us with 150 people with little drums, drumming. And actually that was the way that we closed up, So each one was kind of debriefing his topic into the conference, and everybody in the room was kind of jamming to actually, giving the rhythm, of the different debriefing. What is the message here? Things differently. And then I want to talk about depth. If you really want people to engage, you cannot simply tell all the time the same story, right? And in innovation, that's particularly true because probably in the past 2 years, everybody is talking about innovation. Everybody is talking about collaborative tools. Everybody is talking about innovation management, etc., etc. Well, you probably can fool your audience once, but not twice. Meaning that this is the first time I still can fool you probably, but that's not the topic. The topic here is actually bring the people that are able to talk about the topics in a way that your guys are not used to hear. That's why, another very concrete example, we were talking about disrupting Swift, the Swift business model at our last conference. And you know who we brought? We brought Greg Barton at the conference. Who knows Greg Barton here? Greg Barton. Okay, he's the founder of Novell and one of the father of internet itself. Okay, And this guy came, and it's a very typical way. He came with flip-flops and the t-shirt and the shirts because he has some health problems and he cannot really move easily. So we rented a couch from him, and he was, sitting in a couch giving his speech. And he actually was able to picture another Swift, another messaging system, without any of the features that were used today, in front of the bankers that were doing the Swift the traditional way. This is how I mean in terms of deepness. And here's about collaboration. So another thing that we learn typically is that there is nothing less useful as a non-designed meetings. Here's an example. This is a picture that is taken at one of our last conferences, and the theme of the conference was the big data. We got plenty of data today in the internet, and the challenge is how do you use these data to be able to actually make them useful, to act upon them, to take business decision on the top of the data. So what we did is that we took 15 puzzles, we scrambled them. So we I actually did it physically. I got 15 little, buckets of puzzles pieces. I took one hand of the first puzzle, put it in the second one, mix it up, put it in the third, mix it up. And then we split the crowd in 15 groups, and we gave each one of them one of these buckets of the puzzle. Of course, these guys didn't know each other. It was like a 300 people room, and each group had one puzzle to actually make together. Needless to say, it was impossible to do it because all the pieces were totally scrambled, and they didn't even have the picture of the puzzle. So this is a metaphor to explain you that to reach true collaboration, you need to find ways to make people interact. And there are actually people who are specialized in it, and we hired a couple of them. We call them the facilitators. So if you want to increase collaboration, you need people to design and facilitate the way these human beings are interacting. This is one example, and I have more, because what we try to reach is actually a connected company. This is what is beyond Enterprise 2.0, is a truly connected company. And here's an example. Talking about facilitation, well, I will just take that picture because otherwise I will be out of time. This is a picture, one of the things we did in Mumbai, and we created a conference talking about collaboration, which theme was banking the unbanked. So what we did is that we brought the unbanked, the people from the rural part of India, the telecom operators, the bank, the payment platforms. We put them together, 250 people in a room. And the objective was to come out with a global mobile solution to actually be able to operate into the financial inclusion space for the unbanked. And the picture on the bottom is that we did some stations, and one of the stations was, put people in the circle, representatives from the different community. So, some of them were from, the mobile operators, then ICICI Bank, then Nokia, and so on. And somebody in the middle, me, in this occasion, had how do you say, like a string, but a string where, all the Grammys, they do their things. How do you call it, It's something like this that you...
A ball of yarn. A ball of yarn.
A ball of yarn, yes, exactly. So I had this ball of yarn, and I just throw it to somebody. And it was a bank. And I asked him or her, who do you need now in your ecosystem to be able to operate? So the bank has the ball, and he says, well, I actually need a payment system. Who is the payment system here? Oh, you there. So I throw the ball to the other people, and that's the result. So we actually made a physical representation of the interdependency of the ecosystem, okay? And Swift was somewhere there, but it was only one part of the puzzle. So this is again into the challenge that we have of being able to reach out to the different bodies of the ecosystem to make them collaborate. So we have to give them a goal, facilitate the way in which they interact, and actually have a physical place for them to actually play together. And then of course we have tools. So one of the tools, and I don't know why the slide is not, whatever, I'm missing the left part of the slide, but it doesn't matter. Of course we have tools, you need an infrastructure. And here, very quickly, we got the different tools to actually finance the ideas, or we got the incubator, I told you. We got stuff called the POC, the proof of concept. So if somebody comes up with an idea in your company, how do you make it happen? Well, we have a bucket of money that almost no question asked, that is able to actually prove that the technology works, to actually make up a video to actually better explain your idea. And this is a quick decision-making money that is actually granted to the person who are, willing to actually do something new. And then there is, the big cousin of this initiative, which is the incubator. It is, more money for longer time to more people. And then from the proof of concept to the incubation, we go into acceleration, which has its own budget as well. That is totally separated from the rest of the company. Ah, that's why. Okay, sorry. Okay, here's another example. In the previous intranet, you saw tags, okay? And tagging is actually the next way to be able to understand where content is and how content is attributed. Well, one of the startups that we financed through the incubator is called MindTagger. And this is a picture of something that you can do in the Swift-owned intranet. You got your tags, you can actually browse the tags, and each tag is a bubble. The color of the bubble is the expertise. So here, there is somebody who speaks very good English, who has a good project management knowledge, and who has a basic product management and actually C# knowledge. We create that. Each one of the numbers that you see is clickable, and I can, in a snapshot, understand who is matching the skills and competencies that I need when I need it. So this is one of the concrete tools in which how do we enhance collaboration within the company. And of course, our next project is bring it into inotribe.com, because the single most important need is understand quickly who has the right combination of skills that you need, especially when you deal with innovation. And then, encouraging failure. This is a slide from one of our Tribe gangs, is the head of growth strategy from Alcatel-Lucent, Laura. And just to say that you need to kill ideas, you need to fail, you need to try, and you need to be safe in doing this. And we don't really encourage failure, but we certainly encourage trying. And as I said at the beginning, you need rebels. This is a t-shirt that our people, spontaneously made print at our conference. So after the second day, they came out in a printing shop and they give that to a t-shirt guy, and the day after, and the Wednesday, you got like 50 people with this t-shirt to say, hey guys, we don't care, we don't have jobs, we have missions. And of course, the result of all this that InnoTribe, decently managed to reach is actually ideas. And this is, we hired a cartoonist that, made some specific cartoons, for our last conference in Toronto, and this became the mascot. How do you say the mascot in English? Mascot, whatever. he became the mascot of the conference. With that, thank you very much.
Thanks, Matteo, for an interesting approach. Questions?
Thank you. Congratulations on finding a space in a relatively sedate industry for this kind of excitement. Big challenge. The kind of the end result products and so on, you said you do a lot with your ecosystem. Have you found that you have become known differently in the industry because of your outreach to others, and are you seeing people requesting your service in this new business of innovation and financial services?
The answer, even if only in 3 years, I modestly say that is yes, for a few reasons. First, because we have actually started making money out of some of the ideas that were taken through the incubator, okay? And these ideas were typically something that could not have been possible to build without the new technologies that we actually studied through this initiative, cloud computing, digital identity, digital services and stuff. So that's one. Second, because InnoTribe is probably 100 times more followed, mentioned, tweeted, blogged than Swift itself, to a point that we actually have a communication problem internally, because we don't have a communication expert or a corporate communication piece in our own team. And Swift has probably 10 to 15 people dealing with corporate communication. And we appeared in Business Weeks, in Wired, in you name it. And Swift is, kind of struggling with that. But that's the law, of the actual communication media. So that would be the second reason. And the third one is because InnoTribing an event starts to become something that customers are asking us. We recently went to facilitate and design the sales convention of a very large US banks because they saw us acting in our conference, and they wanted to apply the same techniques for their own customers. So this is exactly, the more we do this type of stuff, the more we engage in a sort of totally bonding way with the customers, and actually it goes exponentially. The more we do this, the more engaged the ecosystem is, and the easier it is to make the projects.
Any more questions?
About the mind tagging, do people tag themselves, say like my English is very, very good, or do other people tag other people? How
Actually,
is this done?
Thanks for the question. Actually, both. We got 2 different instances of the tool. One is where people is self-tagging, and the others can endorse. So you say my English is very good, and I go to your profile and I actually endorse you a little bit in LinkedIn, in saying, yeah, okay, I endorse that. So the more the tool is used, the more accurate is the tag cloud that is attributed to each employee. But then we have another instance of the same tool from customer support, because customer support has their own tags predefined by saying, I am the manager, you are working for me. I know that you are excellent in Java in Java development because you comply with this, and this requisite, and you are only good in that other. So for the more technical skill, if you want to, we imported the tags and the values from an existing matrix skills, and then they use the browsing to actually find out people way more easy. Do you answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
I'm not sure I understand. Just to check, You said that there were 3 initiatives. There was first Innovation Challenge, then InnoTribe.com, and then InnoTribe Incubator. So I was wondering whether they live together in parallel today, or whether it was an evolution.
Sure. No. Every single component of that story, it is actually adding on the top of the existing, because they are actually facing different challenges. InnoTribe.com was really about collecting the ideas, and it was really the first thing to do. The innovation challenges that we started with, it was because, play in your own ground first. So we tried to make our employees understand first, and we did the same with our community. And then we find ways to actually give wings to the ideas, So all of this is part of the ecosystem and is coexisting.
Any more questions? Okay, Matteo, thank you very much. I must say that your quote that was mostly tweeted, or retweeted actually, was, "We don't encourage failure, but we certainly encourage trying," which also in a controlled environment that you're working in, and where what happens outside needs to be, there's failure is not an option, as you said. It's still good that in your internal organization you give room for that. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you guys.